Today is Monday, February 21st, 2022, and this is the beginning of my teaching journey. How many interviews? It's for a fourth grade position, which is very exciting. I'm sad. I'm about to accept a job offer. I am just now starting the application process for full-time teaching positions, hopefully starting in the fall of 2022, and I'm looking for jobs that are full-time, that are teaching positions, and that could be in the general education field or in the special education field. It could be the lead teacher, it could be a supporting role in some way, but I'm hoping to find something that I am passionate about in the near future. I'm hoping to document this process as much as possible because I am super curious about it and kind of the time frame of everything and how it lines up. So for anyone that's watching in a similar situation, I hope this is somewhat helpful. Currently, I am obtaining my master's degree at Merrimack College in special education. That will be done in May, and I'll hopefully get certification by August. And then before that, I was able to get a bachelor's in elementary education from Birmingham State University from May 2021. And the reason I decided to get my master's right out of undergrad was because I wanted to get the most experience, the most courses under my belt before jumping into the teaching field. Currently, I am in a middle school where I'm in the 6th grade special education department. A year ago in the spring of 2022, I was volunteering in a 2nd grade classroom. That was my student teaching semester. Along with that, I've also been in a 4th grade classroom, a 1st grade classroom, and a 5th grade classroom that was completely virtual during the fall of 2020. The two main websites I've been using to search for potential interviews or potential opportunities is SchoolSpring and Indeed.com. So this is going to be a long-term video where I'm starting now in February, like I said, but maybe it's not going to be until March when I actually get a job that I'm excited about to interview for, and then April will be when I'm interviewing, and then I actually get the job in the summer sometime. I don't know exactly the timeline yet, but that's what this video is for, is that I can keep track of when things happen and how long it takes between things like this. So I hope you stay with me. For now, I'm going to go over some of the things that I've been doing to prepare for the interviews and prepare for the applications when they do come in. The first thing that I've actually done is prepare a resume. Resumes are super important. If you don't know that already, they're kind of a glimpse of who you are as a person, all of your work experience in one paper. And I did try to keep it concise into one piece of paper. I made it look as pretty as possible without being too distracting, and I made it my own. So that's important when thinking about your resume, is that you don't want to just list off your credentials, but also make it unique. And I could spend hours talking about what it means to have a good resume. I still am unsure about my resume. That's completely normal if you're overthinking it. I do, and I still look at it, I'm like, I could add this, I could delete this, but at this point I need to kind of just be confident in it and hope that whoever does see it isn't going to just hire me based on the resume, but they're at least going to be interested to find out more. Another thing I thought of recently was a website. I think a website would be a really cool thing to add to my little list of things to send to a potential employer. It would just be like a resume, but more interactive, so they could read exactly what they want to read and skip whatever they want to skip. And it's less structured, like I said, than a resume, but it would be kind of unique and stand out from the crowd a little bit more. So I have to do that, and it's in the very early stages right now, but that definitely interests me because it shows my kind of motivation to stand out, but also that I am capable of doing things like that. Before I go into the interview process or hiring process, I want to be aware of what I need to work on, as well as what I kind of already know is under my belt and that I can handle. So in other words, strengths and areas of growth. I don't consider them weaknesses. It's the same thing with students, is that you don't want to label them as weaknesses because then it implies that you can't improve and that you can make them strengths. So I like area of growth because it's like growing into it almost. It may sound cheesy, but that's what I get out of it. So starting with the kind of negative tone is that classroom management has always been an issue with me. I always get afraid being in front of class and having the authority to be like, okay, we need to focus, we need to start working. And so I need to work on actually staying focused myself, for one, and like keeping up with my expectations, because I think I can lay down the expectations and say this is what I expect, but as soon as someone does something different, I'm like, oh, okay, whatever, it's okay, because I want them to like me. But I need to start thinking like, okay, they're students that need to be put in check. And the last area of growth for now that I can think of is just planning, which is odd to me because I love planning and organizing more than anyone else. But when it comes down to like actually lesson planning and figuring out what I'm going to do with my time each class and what subject I'm going to teach at what point, it gets a little overwhelming. And on the flip side, I do have some strengths that I'm pretty confident in. It's hard to say out loud, but I think it encourages me to think about these as I go into the interview stage of like, they're going to ask, I know they will, about what I think my strengths are. So I'm definitely going to think of those right now before I'm put on the spot. And the first one is my reflective practice. I've been complimented by many people that I'm very reflective. I feel like this video shows that, is that I'm not afraid to just be like, okay, that did not go well, how can I fix it for the future? Or if it did go well, I celebrate that and I talk about it with anyone that will listen. The other strength I thought of was the connections I make with my students. It's so weird because I don't even consider it like hard to do. I just think connecting with students makes everything easier, and it's actually fun to get to know them on a more personal level than just a student. And that could be anyone. If I work with them one day or every day, I like to see what they like and what motivates them to be their best, and then I can implement that into their lessons or into their instruction. And the last strength is that I'm not afraid to be myself, is that I think interviews are actually a good thing where I get to show off who I am, and of course I'll be nervous, but I will embrace that, and I'll say like, I really do care about this profession. I've always wanted to be a teacher, and now that it's actually happening, it's getting very exciting, and I'm excited to just kind of make my mark on the school or the district. And like I said, I'm not afraid of being who I am, and you all know that I'm a little weird, but that's okay. That's what makes teaching fun. That's what hopefully my classroom will be about, is embracing our individuality and just having a great community around that. I don't know what's going to come next, but I'm excited for the future. It might not sound like it because I'm nervous thinking about it, but I think the best thing to do is just reflect like I always do. So push through with an open mind, excited energy, and just keep pushing forward. So I'll see you soon. So I applied to my first ever job, two actually, last night, and I was going to film it, but then my roommate was there, so I didn't want to be awkward and film myself talking to myself when he was in the apartment. So I'm doing it now. So I applied to two jobs in the Chelmsford district for the grade 2 teachers, and there's two positions in two different elementary schools, but it's the same grade, same district. But I applied to both of them separately with the same documents, same everything. But yeah, I'm really excited for this opportunity. Of course, it's just applying on a portal, like a employment portal. It's nothing personal. I haven't gotten anything from a person yet, so maybe it just goes into nothing, and I'm excited for no reason. But I'm excited nonetheless that I actually did something, that I feel confident going to applications, which is terrifying to say, but I actually did it this time with my recommendations all set to go. So I'm hopeful, and I will talk to you soon. Today is April 1st, and I have another update. I know it's been a while since the last one, but literally all that's happened is that I've applied to another grade 2 position, actually two grade 2 positions, one in Wilmington, one in Lowell. They're both about 20 or 30 minutes away from me. I applied to grade 2 Lowell this morning. Like, I literally just saw it, and it's a different school than I applied to earlier, so it's like, I wanted to take that opportunity because I've been applying to grade 2. I was like, why not see where it takes me? And then I got a notification on my email saying that someone has reviewed my application, which is the first time I received an email like that. I think I'm going to open School Spring one more time today, see if there's any more openings that I missed this week. And then I have seen an increase in jobs posting. And I also heard that they like to hire, or they like to interview people during April break, which kind of stinks because I'm going to be away for April break, but I'm sure I can make it work. And we'll see where it leads me. I have applied to 16 jobs as of today. And you might be wondering, how many interviews? None. So I had a feeling, I think I knew this from the beginning, that I was going to start applying and get all excited and then think that I'm going to get interviews right away and then I would be hired and everything, because that's just who I am. And I thought I was going to get at least some feedback from my many applications, but so far I've got nothing. Another thing that I did recently was go to a job fair that was all for education majors, which was nice, and that was in Boston, and I got to talk to about 10 or so districts, and even some that were out of state, even though I don't have any interest of moving out of state. Glad I did it. I got a lot of info, and I was able to hear back from a school district that I did apply to, and I was like, did you get my application? And they said yes, so that felt good. And then I was able to hand out my resume to some schools, so hopefully I get in touch with some schools that I didn't officially apply to. So I hope I get back to you very soon with another update that hopefully shows a little bit more progress. But for right now, it's just kind of a waiting game, seeing who's gonna interview first. And like I said, I'm excited, nervous, all of the emotions always. So I'll see you soon. Today is May 4th, and I have some good news. So last week on Thursday, I interviewed for a district named Haverhill, and it was kind of informal because they phrased it as a job fair. So then I knew that they were going to do interviews on the spot, and I knew that it was going to be kind of informal, so that was fine. And it was a good experience, obviously, to actually sit down with someone and they asked me questions and I answered them. But then on top of that, this week on Tuesday at 9:04 a.m., a different district named Stoneham reached out to me. Their middle school has an opening, and this was one of those schools that I talked to at the career fair a few weeks ago. So I didn't even apply to this specific job, so I don't know what it was when I got the email. They just said, I'm ready to invite you to an interview with me and the principal. We have a special education position available. And yes, I'm reading that from my laptop so I don't mess it up. And this one I'm actually more excited about than the one last week because it's more specific. It's with people that are going to actually hire me or not. They've seen my resume ahead of time. They kind of know what they're expecting. I'm very excited about that. We'll see how it goes in 24 hours. Today is May 6th. I had my interview yesterday and it went pretty well. I met the director of special education and the principal. They were really nice and they asked me good questions about just like who I am, my experience, why I want the job. They also mentioned that they have some openings in various positions, so they asked me like, what do you want to do? And it was good because I know that they read my resume ahead of time because they asked me specific questions about my resume and like said, can you elaborate on this and stuff? And then on top of that, this afternoon, I was checking my email at lunch like I always do. And then I got an email from North Andover Public Schools, which is where I live. And it's for a 4th grade position. So I have an interview for the school next Tuesday at 3 o'clock. So it's shortly after a school day. And I'm really, really excited for it. And of course, I'm nervous for it. But like, this would be perfect. Like, it's the grade I want. It's the location that's right next door. Like, everything would be really, really good if it worked out. But right now, it's looking like schools are finally starting to reach out, which is exciting. So I just had another interview. This one was with North Andover, the town I live in. It's super convenient. It's for a 4th grade position, which was very exciting. And I interviewed with the principal and about like 8 other teachers, which was very intimidating because they were all writing notes at the same time and asking me questions and all have different opinions of me, so I don't really know how I feel about it. But they asked me typical questions, some that were pretty unique of like, how do you want your students to describe you? How do you want parents to describe you? Tell me about a lesson that didn't go so well and what did you learn from it? Stuff like that. So nothing really that threw me off guard, just kind of things that made me think, which wasn't a bad thing. So again, I'm not mad or upset, but I'm also like not happy either. I'm just kind of uncertain, like I said earlier. I think it went well, but I'm just not sure. This guy said that he would get back to me within a week, so hopefully that remains true. And I'll keep you updated as always. Another thing I want to mention is that I'm going to still continue to apply to jobs, even though I've had 2 interviews. I'm not going to just assume that these are going to work out, so I'm going to continue my job search just like I would if I didn't have these interviews. That's all I'll say for now. See you soon. I'm sad. The North Andover job that I applied to, that I told you guys about last week, I heard back and it's a no. And I'm very sad about it. But as you can tell, I'm still smiling because I'm happy that I had the experience, happy that I had the opportunity. But it still hurts that they didn't want me for whatever reason. And I asked the person that sent the reply that I didn't get it. I was like, can you provide some feedback, please? Because I want to know. And obviously they won't go into very specifics, but maybe something will stick out. Because the things that came to my mind was right away was lack of experience and maybe just like lack of confidence or like lack of just awareness of what they kind of wanted. So although, like I said, I think it went well, it was still, I could have done better. So I'm still pushing through. I still have so many applications that I've applied to that I haven't heard from yet, that I'm still hopeful will get back to me just like they did and that all schedule interviews for. So this is not the end of my journey, obviously, but it is definitely a big speed bump. and I'm sad, and I told like everyone that heard about this interview, I'm sad, but it's okay to be sad sometimes. So hopefully I come back with better news next time. Alright, I'm not sad anymore. I had an interview after the sad news about Andover. Good news, I interviewed for a job in Newburyport, and they said they had 3rd grade available, 1st grade, and a special education position all available. And I mentioned that I would prefer 3rd grade, but I'm not going to say no to anything. So I made my priority clear, but I also didn't limit myself. So they mentioned that I did well in the interview, which feels good, that they said it to everyone, but I could tell that like they were happy with my responses for the most part. Again, they did that last time and I didn't get the job, so it means nothing, but I definitely think that it felt nice, one, because there's only 3 people interviewing me this time instead of like 800 like the last one, so I feel good about that. He said to the vice principal that interviewed me, he kind of led the whole thing, he was going to reach out by the end of the week to schedule another meeting with the principal. I go up to the school, and it's a really nice school, but then there's like 2 parking spaces in this tiny parking lot. I'm like, but where's the rest of the staff? Like, there's no way that's the only parking lot. Like, there was no way. The only thing I could think of was that there was a nursing home like nearby, but that was a different sign. Like, I didn't want to go that way. But I was just so confused. I was like, where do these people park? So, I don't know. I'll figure that out next time. I should have asked. Because that was another thing I really liked, is that he kept asking me any more questions. So I had them prepared. I felt like I cared about the school. And now I'm driving back, as you can see. I hate to record and drive, but I knew that I wanted to kind of get my initial reaction without my overthoughts ruining it. So right now I'm happy. And we'll see where I go next. I'm in the car again. So, I think last time we chatted, I was meeting with Newburyport for like a 3rd grade or special education position. So a day after that, I received an email saying, can you meet with me? It was from the principal, who I did not meet on Tuesday. She's like, I would like to meet with you, and I thought it was just going to be the principal. So we did that on Friday as a Google Meet instead of an in-person interview, because I also had another interview on Friday. And so I had to do 2 interviews in one day, which was interesting. But so she met with me along with some other educators in that same call, and we talked for a little bit, but they asked the same exact questions, which I didn't like at all, because I felt like I was repeating myself, but it was them that was repeating themselves. I said my thank you note right after, sent an email, and then right after that she sent me, thank you, I have a few more questions, would you like to meet on Monday? I was like, okay. So now it's Monday. I met with the principal, the vice principal again, and director of special education. They just said, like, we really enjoyed meeting with you, and you had a lot of good things to say. We love your energy. And then she said that we want to give you a chance to work as a special educator in a 2nd grade classroom, and you would be a co-teacher with another faculty member, and it would be like a full-time position and everything, and it would be like a classroom, but I would have another teacher with me, and it's co-teaching, meaning I would have the same responsibilities as whoever I'm working with. We would just be teaching the same thing. It's looking like she offered me the job, and all I have to do is say yes, and then I have a job for next year, which is super exciting, but also super nerve-wracking because I don't like commitment, but as always I'm overthinking it, so I'll keep you updated as always, but we'll see. It's exciting things are happening. I'm about to accept a job offer at a grade 2 position in an elementary school in Newburyport, and it's co-teaching model and it's special education, but they assured me of all the questions I had before I said yes. So now I'm about to press submit of my job offer, so I'm hoping that if I say yes to this, then that means I have a job. So I'm sending it now as we speak, and I'm very, very nervous. My thumb's in the way. But if I send this, hopefully the response is like, yes, congratulations, you got the job. But of course I'm skeptical. So here we go. Ready? Okay. So it's official. I am going to be working for Newbury Public Schools starting in the fall of 2022 as a grade 2 special education teacher, and I could not be more excited. You guys saw me at the very beginning of this video applying to any job and interviewing for some and not getting a lot, and now I'm happy to say that I have found a job for the next year. I want to reinforce that this is my journey of the application process, and if you're a future teacher as well, it could be completely different, but I wanted to walk through kind of the timeline of how everything fell into place. I started by applying to the application of a classroom teacher at this specific school through School Spring. So I applied to their position posting on April 26, 2022, and I didn't think anything of it at the time. It was one of the positions I applied to, and I just thought it's a classroom teacher position, which I wanted to do. It's about 30 minutes from me, so it's not too bad of a commute, and maybe it'll work out. We'll see. It was reviewed the very next day. School Spring notifies you the minute that someone clicks on your application to kind of consider it. I got that notification the day after, on April 27th, which I was super excited. I was like, oh, someone read it. Let's see. It wasn't until June 5th of 2022 that they requested an interview. So it took over a month for them to review my resume and application info, my references, all that stuff they went through is up to them, obviously, and then they eventually wanted to interview me. So I got that email on June 5th, which I think is funny because that's my uncle's birthday, so I thought it was kind of fitting that a special day already was even more special this year. So we scheduled something 2 days after the first email, and I was, of course, very nervous. And we did the interview, and I kind of said my 2 cents of it. We were looking for 3rd or 1st grade position, and when I sent my thank you email, he's like, great, thank you for coming in, and the principal will be in touch, and she will want to interview you as well. So she emailed me on the next day after my interview, which was on June 8th, saying, can you come in again on June 10th, which was the Friday of that same week. And I asked to do it virtually because of scheduling issues, but luckily she was very accommodating in that aspect, so I was able to do a virtual interview on Friday, June 10th. So she emailed me right back saying, would you be able to chat on Monday, which was June 13th, so a couple days after that. So I met with them again with a different group of people. It turns out that they really did like me, luckily, based on my interviews. So they revealed to me that I was a great fit for their school, and they were wondering if I had interest in a special education position or a classroom teacher. So they kind of left it up to me, kind of saying, we would love to have you, which one you kind of want. They said I'd be a great fit for both. I asked all of my questions over email with the principal over the next few days, kind of like, what does the special education position look like? What would the salary be like? All these questions. And she was super responsive. So I responded by June 15th, that Wednesday. I said, I would love to be a part of your team, and I look forward to working with you more in the future. It was very official. I was trying to be as official and respectful as possible, saying, yes, I want to teach in your school. And then it was scary because she didn't respond right away. I thought she was going to be eager and be like, can't wait to meet with you more. But it wasn't until Monday, June 20th, which I know is only 5 days away, but when you're waiting for a response to a job offer, it was very stressful. So I was like, what if I didn't get it? But I got it. She responded saying, thank you. You'll be in touch with the superintendent. And again, that could have been a little nerve-wracking, but she kind of said, like, it's just to sign paperwork and stuff. So we scheduled that for June 23rd. And then on June 23rd, I went into the office, met the superintendent, we signed my contract, and I made it official that I will be working for them next fall. So it's still kind of crazy to me. I feel like it's still not real until I step into my classroom. And like I said, I want to bring you guys along with that process as well. So this is just the first step out of many to my future job, which is very exciting. Some stats I wanted to share with you guys is that I applied to 28 different schools. Most of them were through School Spring. Some were through their website directly. It does depend on the district, but 28 seems like a lot. So if you're getting discouraged because you're applying to so many places, I applied to 28, which is a lot, so keep that in mind. Out of those 28, 7 of them wanted interviews, and I'm counting Newburyport as just one interview, not counting the kind of second and third interviews I did. So 7 different districts wanted me to interview for them, and funny enough, not all of them I applied to, because I went to that job fair where I met a lot of people, and through that they were able to see my resume, and that's what caused an interview, rather than them having me to apply first. So a lot of them that I applied to either didn't respond to my application yet, or they just declined my application because they had better candidates, I guess. Like I mentioned, there was about 40 days between the time I applied to this job and between the time they reached out to me for an initial interview. And once I had that initial interview, it only took 18 days to get a contract signed, which I think is exciting. So yes, like I said, I'm very excited. It's a kind of surreal moment. Like I said, I think at some point this has been a dream of mine ever since I could talk. So it's very exciting that it's actually happening, and I met a lot of my coworkers already, so it's exciting that they starting to know who I am, and I can just make an impact on a new community, new set of kids, and they're actually going to be mine this time. It's also going to be a co-teaching model, which means I will be a main teacher, but so will be the person that's working closest with me. So it's like two people teaching the same kids, the same content. It'll be good because we're able to accommodate for diverse learners as best as possible. So it's going to be my classroom along with another teacher too. Details will come, I'm sure, over the summer. I'll have some updates. I'll try to take you along with the process if this is at all interesting. If you have any questions or want to know more, feel free to comment down below or message me directly, just to kind of get more insight on the teaching interview process and stuff like that. So I know not a lot of you are future teachers, I'm sure, but if you do stumble upon this video, I'd love to talk more, because this video is already far too long. But thank you for watching as always. Stay validating, keep positive if you are applying to jobs, even if it's not a future teacher. You will get a job somewhere and you will be very happy, I'm sure of it. So stay positive as always, and I will see you in the next video.